Hi, this is Victoria Nalule, and here with me is Mr. John Chinda, all the way from Nigeria.
Thank you.
He is a lawyer and a PhD candidate at the Center for Energy, Petroleum, Mineral and Policy at the University of Dundee. I have to mention that John is being supervised by Stephen Dow. I know most of you have watched my videos with Stephen Dow. And in this video, we want to focus on biofuels. But before we start, I'd like Mr. Chinda to introduce himself.
Yeah, my name is John Chinda. I'm a Nigerian. I'm a lawyer by profession. I'm also a PhD student here at the center with particular interest in biofuels and aspect of renewable energy. So that is me.
All right, thank you very much for the introduction.
Thank you.
So in this video, we want to focus on biofuels. In some previous videos I did with Dr. Darren Macaulay from the St. Andrews University, we talked about a transition to a low carbon economy. But in this video, we want to focus on renewables, specifically biofuels. So could you please take us through a brief overview of biofuels and also address the reasons as to why we need biofuels and their prospects?
Yeah, now biofuels are alternative fuels made from plants. Now biofuels, I've always said, predates modernity, simply because before now it was used as a source of electricity and energy, and now I'm talking about wood fuels. So anything other than fossil fuels or from fossil fuels, natural gas or whatsoever is known as biofuels, except the other aspects of renewable energy sources, which includes solar and hydro and other types. Now, biofuels in the 19th century was one of the basic source of energy that was used. It's interesting to note that Randolph in the 19th centuries actually used vegetable oil to produce the first steam combustion engine from biofuels. Okay. Also, in the 19th century too, where ethanol was produced from sugarcane and corn that was used as a source of energy when they got the Henry Ford T model vehicle. So biofuel is of great essence, trying to come into play, mitigating the challenges of fossil fuel. All right. Now, it's also important to note that when we discuss biofuels, we have several generations of biofuels. The first generation of biofuel, which to a great extent has challenges, is simply because of the issues of food fuel, the issue of food fuel debate. Now, the first generation biofuel deals basically with food crops such as sugarcane, corn, cassava, which are known as staple food crops, affecting the food chain in any generation. And as such, there is a serious debate. There is a serious, I'll use the word anger, vexation against that source of biofuel. However, now there is a little change because second generation biofuel was invented. Technology brought about second generation biofuels, which basically looks at other aspects of plant that is not a staple crop. Now we are looking at plants like jatropha's plant, which uses minimal water and can be planted on any kind of soil. All right. Also, we look at sugarcane beet. We are looking at stalks, and then we have wheatgrass. These are other sources of biofuels that can be used to enhance and grow the energy market, doing away with the first generation biofuels, which has a great challenge with food issues. Now, it's also important for us to state that the generations of biofuel has grown. Now we also have the third generation biofuel, which yes, everybody wants to go into, simply because it has nothing to do basically with food stock. This is known as algae. Algae production for energy sources is of great importance. And I, as a student, I appreciate anything that technology will do to take us out from the issues of food fuel challenges, and then algae is coming in to take that place. More recently also, we've come to understand that the issues, another generation of biofuel, which is, I look at it as a fourth generation biofuel, dealing with municipal waste, animal dung, is another aspect wherein energy can be sourced from when technology is put into place to produce energy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the brief overview. So we shall move on to the question as to why biofuels and what are the prospects of this particular type of energy.
Now, why biofuels?
Yes.
Now, it's important. Victoria, you have been in this country and in the UK, good enough, you're from Uganda.
Yes.
And then when you go to Uganda, you have enormous sun, am I correct?
Yes.
Heat, yes. Now, in the UK, the opposite is the case. You have enormous cold. Now, the major reason why we advocate for biofuels is simply because of climate change. The major reason, because the emission rates from fossil fuel and its related elements have depleted the ozone layer, and as such there is a need for alternative sources of energy to be put in place to harness the environment, to harness the atmosphere, so that while me and you are walking on the streets of UK, we will not be frozen to death, or while you are walking in the streets of Uganda, you will not be burnt by heat. So biofuel comes in to help in this matter, to ensure that the emission rate coming from fossil fuel is reduced. Okay? Another reason why biofuels is environmental factors. Environmental factors. We know of the Macondo explosion, right? Yes, that would have been different with biofuels. You have pipelines being busted. Yes, that would have been different with biofuels. So there are environmental challenges that also affect the production, that also affects human beings. All right. There is. I'll speak this loosely because we have another generation that is taking over it. But you also look at the food issue. Okay. Now, with the growing population, let me leave the food issue for now. With the growing population, now looking at energy security, with the growing population, there is a need for alternative energy. Though I have been, is a little discussion between myself and my erudite supervisor, Stephen Dow, as to are we complementing fossil fuel or are we having are we having biofuels as a supplement? I am of the view that since the Stone Age didn't come to an end because the world ran out of stones, that the world will not, fossil fuel will not come to an end because the world will run out of fossil fuels. But rather, I am of the view, I'm a student who is of the view that fossil fuel will complement, biofuel will complement fossil fuel as a source of harnessing energy security. Right now, we need every type of source of energy to ensure that globally, no nation suffers any lack of energy.
Okay, thank you very much. You've raised very important issues, including issues relating to climate change. We did cover topics on climate change with Professor Volker Robin, and we also talked about climate change litigation, so you can refer to those videos. And you also raised a very important issue with respect to the energy challenges and the need for us to utilize all energy resources, including renewables, biofuels, and fossil fuels, to tackle the energy challenges we are facing in our different countries. So should we move on to the prospects of biofuels now?
Yes, please.
So what are the prospects of biofuels?
Scholars have said, I agree with them to an extent, that technology is still required, research and development is still required to improve on the biofuel production or biomass production. But I must say that currently America and Brazil, which are leaders in the production of biofuel, have shown enormous prospects that biofuel is the next in thing. Yes, the source of the biofuel production is a challenge, especially looking at USA and Brazil that are still into, basically heavily into first generation biofuels. But with the third generation biofuels and the fourth generation biofuels, there is hope that biofuels will definitely come out strong to help alleviate the issues of energy security. When we talk about renewable, when we talk about energy, it's all how we can harness and ensure that a country or the globe has, to a great extent, its citizens have energy for their consumption. All right. So I am of the view that biofuel has great potentials when the new third and fourth generation biofuels are properly harnessed. Now let's also understand that I made mention of the second generation biofuels, which is also of great importance. That is also growing strongly. Right now, biofuel is adding about 17%, about 17% in US to US's energy source. Globally, it has added about 10%. Globally, it has added about 10%. So I think biofuel is the next in thing when we talk about energy sources.
All right. Thank you very much, John. In the next video, we want to talk about challenges of biofuels. Should we cover them now, or should we just do a separate video?
Well, you are directing, so...
Yeah, I'm directing. I think we can just cover it right now, since I don't think there are many challenges of biofuels, and we shall have one single video with the history, the prospects, and also the challenges. So what are the challenges of biofuels? Because I understand you've mentioned the 3 generations of biofuels, and I understand many countries, including developing countries from like Nigeria, Uganda, were trying to embrace biogas and other types of biofuels. But what are the challenges of developing biofuels?
Now, the major challenge for first generation biofuel. Now, let's start this way. Now, biofuel has its challenges in its generations, right? Now, the first generation biofuels has its challenge with food. First and second generation biofuel has their challenge with food, with land, a common challenge with land. Now, we have what is also known as carbon debt, right? Now, so the first challenge that deals basically with first generation biofuel is the food versus fuel debate. Now, antagonists of biofuel say that it is taking over the food itself. So, do we need food, or do we need fuel?
We need food.
We need food. We also need fuel.
Yes.
Yeah. So the good thing for that is simply because even from the crops, the remnants of the food now, technology has been put in place that from the remnants of the food now, you can actually get biofuel being produced. All right. So to a great extent, I am thinking that the issues of food will not be of much challenge because of the various technologies that are being put in place. But for now, first generation biofuel, the major challenge is that of food. Now, first and second generation biofuel basically have their challenge with respect to land, deforestation, and then land use change. Now, unfortunately, this video wouldn't allow us discuss these things because they are really serious issues. Now, what kind of agricultural tenure system are you putting in place? These are the challenges. Should you displace food crops for fuel crops? What is the place of farmers in the course of growing? Are we growing for fuel, or we are growing for food? So these are the challenges that is being faced in biofuels. We also have, like I mentioned earlier, what is known as carbon debt. Some researchers believe that the release of carbon dioxide and methane or other sources, other greenhouse gases coming out from fossil fuel get stuck to the trees, which we know, and the river. And then you are coming with biofuels to destroy. When you bring down a tree, you release this carbon. So where do you release them to? So that is a challenge. That is a challenge. So when you release them, where do you release them? With the cutting down of the trees, how do you go about that? Now, that challenge also comes along with the land, the land system. How are we going to distribute parts of the land, or any parts of the land for fuel and parts of the land for food? Now, the other challenge for the third and fourth generation is not so much about land, because other sources of renewable energy also contest with land. All right? But the issue, for now is a challenge, is its innovation. How has technology advanced to bring about the production of biofuels in commercial quantity? All right? We also have the issues of refineries and all whatnot. And then I read about an article wherein it was said that what source of energy is used to bring down trees? Is it not from fossil fuel? But my challenge is simple. My answer to that is simple. The person who said that, the researcher who made that assertion, has he found out if the source of energy brought about that is being used to bring down the trees, are they not also from biofuels? We wouldn't know. That aspect of his research wasn't stated. He only just asserted. So I think these are basically the challenges that we have with biofuels.
Thank you very much. I had planned to have the video in 2-3, but then I realized that it's a very important issue and we need to cover both the prospects and challenges in one video. Stay tuned. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you very much.
In the next video, we shall be talking about faith and PhD journey. Stay tuned.